This is Enes Kanter. He is a professional N.B.A. player with a decades-long career playing on 5 different teams. However, his career path has been unlike any other. He is outlawed from entering multiple countries, and his life is under constant threat, with the need for bodyguards wherever he goes. This is all because he uses his platform in order to speak out against the government of Turkey and their president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who he describes as the Hitler of our century. Kanter was born in Switzerland to Turkish parents and raised in Turkey, but his outspokenness has now transformed him into persona non grata in the country. The Turkish government revoked his passport in 2017 and has accused him and his family members of terrorism. Kanter hasn't been back to Turkey in years or spoken to many of his family still living there.
Of course, it does impact me because, in the end, it's my mother, it's my dad, it's my sister. And my sister just got married this summer, and I couldn't even be a part of it. So it's very sad.
His N.B.A. games have been censored in Turkey, and he's had to turn down international team trips because of the threat of arrest abroad. This has reshaped the role he has for himself, from a basketball player to a pro-democracy activist. Kanter began playing professional basketball in the United States in 2011. That same year, he played for the Turkish national team, where Kanter recalls briefly meeting President Erdogan. There's a picture out there somewhere, Kanter said, of himself shaking the leader's hand. Erdogan was prime minister at the time, but in 2017, a referendum was passed that abolished the prime minister position, which allowed Erdogan to consolidate all power and become president. This gave Erdogan full control of Turkey without anyone being able to challenge him. Since then, Turkey has experienced democratic backsliding and reports of corruption, with his government imposing growing censorship on social media and restricting access to the internet. This reached a flashpoint in July of 2016 after an attempted coup on the Turkish government was made by Erdogan's rival Fethullah Gulen. The coup was carried out by factions within the Turkish armed forces and attempted to take control of different regions across the country. The coup ultimately failed and resulted in the death of hundreds, and in turn, Erdogan tightened his control over the country by purging those suspected of being involved in the attempted coup. In the nearly 3 years since the coup attempt, Erdogan has awarded himself additional powers, which has effectively turned Turkey into an autocracy. At this time, Kanter began criticizing Erdogan's terror attack on Ankara and has since been a regular opponent to the president. With Kanter over thousands of miles away in the United States, he has been unaffected by the Turkish government's attempts to silence him, with a 2018 indictment for making harmful and humiliating comments. This has led Kanter's family, who are still in Turkey, to become a target from the Turkish leader, including his father, mother, and sister. In 2018, Kanter's father was indicted on made-up charges alleging that he was a member of a terrorist organization. An op-ed penned by Kanter in response goes into detailing, saying how his life is forever changed with him now being a stateless person. With the attacks growing more severe, U.S. officials began to step in, with Senator Ron Wyden introducing new legislation to promote democracy and human rights in Turkey. But Kanter, who has now made a name for himself as an activist, was prepared to take on authoritarian government in not only his home country, but across the world. In the summer of 2021, Enes Kanter turned his attention towards China after allegations of human rights abuses against the Uyghur population. Freedom, who is Muslim but knew little about the Uyghurs, threw himself into the cause by wearing custom-designed shoes with protest slogans against the Chinese government and labeled the Chinese president as a brutal dictator. The response from China was immediate, with China stopping all broadcasting games with Kanter playing for his team, the Celtics. The N.B.A.'s response, Freedom said, was to try to silence him. In several media appearances after that game, he said 2 league officials demanded that he take off the shoes, and he refused. The reaction to Kanter's activism against China was unlike anything he had experienced from Turkey. Many have related this to a 2019 incident in which China stopped broadcasting N.B.A. games on its state television network after Houston Rockets executives shared a Twitter image supportive of pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong. The N.B.A. said the 2019 episode cost the league hundreds of millions of dollars. With this experience with China, the N.B.A. may see Kanter as a liability that could lead to losses of millions. When the United States supported China's entry into the World Trade Organization in the 1990s through its admission in 2001, the hope was that U.S. businesses would influence China to be less repressive. Instead, U.S. businesses became lobbyists for China here at home. Their malign influence extends beyond the basketball court. U.S. corporations now effectively act as foreign agents of the Chinese regime, lobbying Congress on its behalf. Freedom pointed out that U.S. corporations such as Apple, Coca-Cola, and Nike lobbied against the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which bans imported goods made with slave labor. Instead of the Communist Party, they are the ones that are doing their propaganda, he said. As Kanter embraces his new identity as an activist, he has gone as far as legally changing his name to Enes Kanter Freedom. This raised profile and some of the negative publicity surrounding it has led to the premature end of his N.B.A. career. In February of this year, the Celtics traded Freedom to Houston, which immediately waived him. Many have drawn comparisons of Kanter being forced out of the N.B.A. to Colin Kaepernick, who after kneeling during the national anthem was forced from the league. Kanter has acknowledged this and says, sometimes sacrifice is a very important word, and there are bigger things than an N.B.A. career. What are your thoughts on this? And do you think the N.B.A. purposely pulled Enes Kanter because of his foreign entanglements? Share your thoughts below.